So, welcome everyone, welcome to MASH Academy. I'm Shifa Yusuf from MASH, and today we are going to continue the second part of the Indus Valley Civilization from the chapter 1 of the NCERT syllabus of history. And today we are going to continue it by introducing the topic about the lower town, which was the second part of the of Mohenjo-daro. Okay, so let's get started about the lower town. So here are some important points that you should know about it. Number one is that the lower town was situated at the lower part of the city. Okay, part of the city. And the second thing is that it was located at the eastern part of Mohenjo-daro or of the city. Okay, now thirdly, what you guys need to know about this civilization, about this part of the city, was that it was a residential area. Okay, these are some important points that should be included in your exam sheet, I believe, because this is very important. Now, it was a residential area. Fourthly, it was well planned and was constructed according to the grid system. According to the grid system. So you might wonder what is a grid system is. Grid system is like, you need to write it down, you need to understand it, that imagine these are some there are some houses here, okay, and if there are some roads here too, and you know these roads are cut 90 degrees apart. Okay, so once again these roads are getting cut over here, right? So they look like a rectangular. So the speciality is that the roads here are cut by correct exactly 90 degrees, which results in houses being in a rectangular street blocks. Okay, so that is known as the grid system. So you need to understand that this civilization was civilized 2000 years ago, or maybe more than that, and they still had a well-planned city system. You need to understand this. And the fifth part is about their houses. Let's go to their houses. Okay, let's focus on to their houses. How were the houses of each person were constructed? So now this is the most important part. This is one of the unique things about the common people. So firstly, they had courtyards. Okay. Number two, they had courtyards that were so vast, and they were used for activities such as cooking, weaving, etc. Number three is that they demanded privacy a lot. So we know that so how do we know about this? How do we clarify about this? Is because of the fact that they had literally no rooms. They had no windows, but one main entrance that was one main entrance in which if it was opened you can only see the courtyard. So you can only see courtyard. This was the most unique thing about their privacy. Now about their houses, this is very interesting. Every house was connected to the drainage system. Every house was connected to drainage system. Okay, and the most important part is that this drainage system was connected to the street drains. Okay, you need to understand that every house was connected to drainage system, and it also had bathrooms. You need to understand that every house had bathrooms, and those bathrooms were connected to the drainage system of the small streets, and they were connected to the main street drains, and then they were connected to the manholes. Okay, a huge hole, you can say. So their drainage system was very well planned. The other feature about these houses are that their houses had they were 2-story houses. Okay, 2-story houses. And how is this indicated? This is indicated through the steps that are connected to the roof, and some remains remaining there, remains of bricks. Okay, now what we need to know about is that so there is a possibility of 2-story houses were constructed because there were stairs that were connected to I can say maybe stairs, maybe instead of steps. Sounds so okay, sounds so stairs. Yeah, so there were stairs that were connected to the roof, and there were some remains of mud bricks alongside to the roof of the house. So that means there was 2-story houses, not like one. I mean, the poor people might have used only I can say the 1-story houses, and maybe the richer people might have used 2-story houses. That's another part. But the next most important fact is that every house, almost, don't mind my E, okay, almost every house had a well that was in their courtyard, where it was accessible for the travelers to drink water from it. So almost every house had a well that was in their courtyard, where it was accessible for the travelers to drink water from it. So that was how every house was constructed. Now we also need to understand that there are many more other topics that we need to cover. Not only this, about the houses, but yeah, this is an important question that all people should know about. So yeah, there were the 7th fact is that around 700 wells were discovered from this area. Okay, now what we need to know is about the drainage system. The drainage system. The most asked question and the most important part of the chapter, I can say. One of the most important parts of the chapter is the drainage system. The drainage system was very advanced. And what was the uniqueness? What were the features of the drainage system? So firstly, according to Mackay, he said that it is the most civilized. He noted that it is certainly the most complete ancient system as yet discovered. It is the most civilized, in short. It is the most civilized. Secondly, every house was connected to city drains or street drains, I can say. Now, let's look at the drainage system. Okay, how were these street drains, I can say, were made of? So so firstly, the main channels were made of bricks and mortar, mud bricks and mortar. Okay. Number 2, the drains were covered. Now the drains were covered with loose bricks. And they were, or I can say maybe stone slabs. Okay, that could be removed at any time. Anytime. This is important to note. Okay. There were loose bricks or stone slabs that could be removed anytime. Now, I want to say that what was this? Why would they remove it? It was because of the fact that they wanted to clean it. Okay, clean it. My clean looks like, I don't know. Day by day, my handwriting is becoming worse. In some cases, drains were covered with limestone. Yeah. And as I said, the street drains were also connected with manholes. So in the end, they had manholes too. And these manholes were used, and people used to go under these manholes to clean the drainage system once again, or maybe to dig it into more further. And well, I mean, there is a kind of, I would say, to clean inside a bit. So it was very well planned. What I can say is that it was very well planned. So note the fact that firstly, according to the most important features of the drainage system is that it is the most civilized. Every house was connected to the street drains. And I don't know where did my E vanished, but yeah. Then the main channels of the drains were made of bricks and mortar. Drains were covered with loose bricks or stone slabs that could be removed any time because if they had to clean it. Now drains were covered with limestone and there were manholes. Okay, these are the important features. Now, what does the drainage system implicate to us? What does it really implicate? Number 1, cleanliness. Once again, engineering skills, cleanliness, engineering skills. And last one but not as least is about the well-planned town. So the town was very well planned. That's what we can understand. So these were the main features about it. Okay. Let's go to the next part. Subsistence strategies. What did they use? Subsistence strategies. Subsistence strategies. So this is very important for you to understand. That is, how did the people of Harappa used to have food and subsistence so as to for them to live. So firstly, number one is that they used to have wheat, okay, barley, lentils, chickpea, etc. as they used to cultivate them for food. Okay. Secondly, wheat. So rice and millets were also something that they used to cultivate. Now the most important part is that rice was cultivated from I can see Gujarat. Of course, we still do cultivate rice from Gujarat till now also. And millets were found from Lodal. So they used to cultivate wheat, barley, lentils, chickpea, and many other more. But so far, let's learn some of them so that we don't have to memorize all of them just for us to write in exams. We just have to remember among 5 or 6 among them at least, so that we when during the match the following, or if those kinds of questions are going to be asked, you can be well prepared. So these were the food substances, I would say crops that they used to cultivate in order for them to consider it as a subsistence for them for food. And the next one is also rice and millets, and rice was cultivated in Gujarat and millets were cultivated in Lothal. And the last one is animal hunting was also used. This was confirmed through the discovery of bones of animals and fishes. Okay, now we have finished subsistence strategies. Now let's go to the agricultural technologies that the Harappans used to have. Okay. Agriculture. So we know that agriculture was very prominent. It was very prominent because of the terracotta models that was available there. Okay, there were terracotta models of toys. Okay, there were terracotta models of toys that indicated farming. Okay, so we had found some toys that were made of terracotta models, and that had the shapes of farming, like such. They had the objects of farming such as stool, ploughs, and etc. hoe. So it really did indicate that farming was considered as a substance, as a way of living for them. And secondly, we know that through many sculptures too. It indicates that agriculture was important for them. Now, the most important part is that this was also indicated through the seals. So, through the seals, they also depicted about how about the knowledge about agriculture, and they were like drawings of farming and etc. So, now what we need to know is that these terracotta models, these terracotta models were discovered from Cholistan. It is currently located in Pakistan. Note it down, the current place, and Banavali. The current Haryana. Okay. So far what we know about the agriculture is that agriculture was very prominent because of the fact that we have got terracotta models of toys that indicated methods of farming, and it is also has been proven that there were multi-crop production, by the way. These toys also indicated that there were multi-crop production, and the use of tools such as plough also indicated that they were very consistent in farming. Secondly, sculptures also indicated about it. Thirdly, seals also had drawings that depicted about farming as a lifestyle. Now most importantly is that we receive these terracotta models from Cholistan and Banavali mainly, and it also indicated about the multi-crop production. Now we need to understand that how did they used to cultivate it. So what is multi-crop production? Wait a second, the sea looks a bit ugly. So the multi-crop production is like, it's like this X. Okay, they had crops here. 2 sets of furrows. I really don't know how to explain it. It's very complicated. But yeah, their field had 2 sets of furrows at right angles to each other. It suggests that 2 different crops were grown together at the same time. So that's what I can explain. Nothing beyond that, because it's very complicated. I'm not a great farmer, so yes, multi-crop production is like having right furrows. Okay, they were corrected. It was proven. I can say proven through right furrows. Okay, that are of that cuts as right angles to each other. Okay, that means it suggested that 2 crops were cultivated at a time. Now the most important part is that we have finished till here. Now let's talk about pluff. As I told you that there were models about pluffing and all. Now we have got an evidence of a pluff field. Okay, pluff field was discovered from where? Kalibangan. Where is Kalibangan currently located? At Rajasthan. Okay, and this pluff field clearly showed about the what? This multi-crop production. So the pluff field that was located at Kalibangan clearly showed about clearly indicated multi-crop production, because the food crops were cultivated in the right furrows at the right angles that cut each other. So which clearly indicated that 2 crops were cultivated at the same time. Now we have also tried to identify the tools that were used for. Now this is important, tools. Okay, tools that were used for the cultivation for agriculture purposes. So they say that they might have used stone slabs. Okay, I'm not sorry, not stone slabs, by the way. I was thinking about drainage. Stone blades. Okay, stone blades with wooden handles. Okay, wooden handles, and most importantly, the area. What kind of area were used? Were mostly used by the Hubbins in order for them to cultivate these crops were semi-arid areas, arid lands. Okay, very important, very important. 1 mark question, match the following objective question. Whatever kind of question could be asked from this. Anyways, so now let's talk about the way that they used to cultivate. Okay, about the fact about irrigation. Okay, irrigation. So canals were constructed. Okay, canals were constructed for the purpose of irrigation. Okay, and now we need to know the evidence is provided from Shotugai, Afghanistan. Shotugai in Afghanistan. As I told you, this is a very vast empire, civilization, I can say. Okay, and it is possible also that these ancient canals are still being used till this day. So these canals are still being used till days so still being used. I mean, we are poor, that's it. We are lazy and we are poor, maybe that might be the reason why we are still using it. Anyways, the next one is about this was one fact. The other fact is about water. Now, how did they had water being how was water being shared among these farmers in order for them to cultivate these crops? And it was used by water was obtained by collecting it from wells, resulted in obtaining water, and that resulted for irrigation, that resulted in well planned irrigation system. Besides, most importantly, agricultural lands were near to water reservoirs. Water reservoirs. Okay. Example of these both. Wait, I didn't do it beautifully. I don't know what's wrong with my drawing, but yeah. The evidence of such existence of planning was discovered from Dholavira. Okay, another important city. Now let's talk about a completely different topic: domestication of animals. Okay, from this chapter, it is a very small topic: domestication of animals. Okay, so another important means of the livelihood of the people were about the domestication of animals. It could be used for pastoralism, I can say, pastoralism. And also they used to do cattle rearing. And what did they rear it for? Sheep, I can say goat, buffalo, and pig. Okay. There was also many other more animals were used for when it comes to the domestication of animals. They had also discovered, this is very important, gharials. The bones of gharials, they were like a kind of particular gharials, boar and deer. Okay, and these are wild animals. Wait. These are wild animals. And these were discovered by the archaeologists that clearly indicated that they might be selling them for maybe trade purposes. Okay, and humped bulls were also discovered from this particular site. Okay, humped bulls. Now how do we discover this? All of these animals and the existence of them is because of the fact the bones and remains were existing in these places. Now these bulls were used for I can say agriculture, especially for ploughing the fields. Okay, just remember this, as well as moving the cart. Okay, moving or pulling the carts. For transporting goods. Okay. And then we also talk about asses. Okay. Asses and camels. These are some type of animals, by the way, were used to. Now you might not know about asses. It's a type of if I can say, they're like beasts. Okay, just like camels are, they're like beasts that were very powerful and that could be used to ease the burden of carrying, I can say, ease the burden of carrying goods. Okay, such as in the earlier Arabian Peninsula, camels used to exist, and camels were used to carry those heavier goods for trade purposes. So in exchanging purposes and for the transportation of goods, camels were great source of, I could say, vehicle at those times. Is the burden of carrying the goods. So yeah, this is about the domestication of animals. Now the most important, now this is very important, okay, when I'm talking about this, market. I didn't draw the line. Anyways, this is very important. That is about the social, very important question, social tracking differences, about the social system that existed during the time of Harappa. So we do believe that there was some kind of caste system going on. Okay, we do believe that there was some kind of caste system going on because of the burial cemeteries, or I can say burial remains, as well as their graveyard. Okay. Number 2 is that the graveyards of some were very vast. Okay, were very vast, and were covered with bricks too. Covered with bricks in the burial pits. Bricks in the burial pits. Okay, so just indicated about the rich people and the poor people category that I can say about the social life that existed during the Harappa. So some people's burials were very burial pits. Okay, they were very vast. Okay, they were very vast and they were covered with bricks in the burial pits. And on the other hand, some people's burial pits were just so small and wasn't covered with bricks and all. So this was very confusing, which really did indicated that some people were considered higher and some people were considered lower. We can also see jewelries and potteries in the burial pit. Now this is very important. We can see the jewelries as well as the potteries that used to be inside the burial pit along with the body, which clearly indicated spelling of jewelries are wrong. Jewelries and potteries in the were there in the burial pit, which really did indicated about the existence, the belief system, the existence of the belief that there was an afterlife. So they believed that what kind of belief they had was that they believed that once they die they're going to go to another world, just like similar to our world, but for that they will have to be having preparations. So they were preparations for the next life, I can say. Okay, and then most importantly we have some evidence regarding this and based on it, but these are the most important parts about it. Okay, we have found 3 shells. We can also see ornaments too, silver ornaments, shell bead ornaments. Now the ornaments were made of shell beads. Okay, jasper beads. Then we had micro beads, and these were found near to the skull of a particular person, okay, which clearly indicated that they were believing in the afterlife. And they also had copper mirrors too, by the way. All this clearly indicated that they thought that after dying, we are going to another world and blah, new world has been, arrived, and right now I'm going to be a beauty queen pageant right now, very quite interesting, by the way. Now about the luxury. Now when we talk about the social system, so we do believe that there was some kind of there were like social kind of status existing there, because on some people, on some graveyards, on some burial pits, we cannot see these kinds of jewelries. We can only see some of them, and on some places we can only see a bit of jewelry, like a lot of jewelries, ornaments that were made of shells, jasper beads, micro beads were existing, as well as some coins, I can say, potteries. So these kinds of things indicated that they really did believe about the afterlife, and some of the people who belong to the lower section of the society really didn't had the wealth to attain all of these things, so they decided to just put whatever they want to. And the space of the burial pits clearly indicated that there was some kind of social status system, or maybe a caste system that used to exist in the early era, but we can't still depend on it. Okay, now that let's move to the things of luxury. And before that, I'm going to end up this part of the class, because I think you should understand the parts of these chapters very well. These are very important, and I don't want you to just finish it all together in one class. Okay, so I hope so that in this class you were able to understand about the topics about the social differences, especially about the burials. This is very important question, I'm telling you again and again. And when if they ask you about the social system that used to exist about the Harappa, then you should also include the things of luxury. It's very short topic. I can say that the people used to use different kinds of I mean, just like we have right now. Poor people used to use the items made of ordinary materials such as stone and clay. Okay, stone and clay. And these included coins, pottery needles, etc. Okay, now secondly, these things were considered as, like as I said about these things of luxury the poor people used to use, or the common people, I can just say the common people used to use materials that were ordinary, okay, as stone, that were made of stone or clay, which were used for the manufacture of querns, pottery, needles, etc. And then we can see that these were found among the settlements itself. So these were like the common people, just like we have pencils, we have cooking materials, such as we have chairs, we have tables, just like that. They had these kinds of things, and they were made up of, like we have nowadays. We have most of the things are made of, particularly I can say, steel. So exactly the common life. Okay, now we are talking about the common life people. Now we need to understand about the rich people. Okay, about the rich people. The rich people used to have costly items, and at those time costly items or materials were considered as based on rare. They were rare. There was rare. They used to use objects that were rare in availability. Okay, rare availability. Okay, and secondly, that were, I can say, imported. That means they were non-local materials. And lastly, made of complex technologies. So imagine if we are using if we are going to buy an EV, I can say electric car, it goes more than the petrol cars, right? So this clearly indicates about the fact that that it has a much more complex technology compared to the petroleum, compared to the cars that uses petroleum. So petrol. So in the end, just like that, in the earlier times, we also had expensive. We used to consider items as luxury because of or expensive because of the fact that they were rare in availability, they were imported, or most importantly, they were made of complex technologies. Okay, they were used through these methods. Okay, and the examples, need to understand, the examples are examples. Okay, number is that the luxurious objects were considered as, okay, little pots of faience. Now you might wonder, what is faience? We don't even know about faience. Even I didn't know. It is actually a small material made of ground sand or silica mixed with a particular color and a gum and then burned. So in here it clearly talks about a complex technology being used. Okay, so this is a very unique kind of sand that was or that was like made of, I can say, silica also, which was mixed with a particular color, any kind of color, so that the portrait will be colorful, and then a gum, and then they would get burned. So it indicates about a complex technology that was adopted at that times. So some of these are the examples I can see. A main example is this one, which clearly talks about the complex technology. Now we need to know that, of course, the rare objects are being used by the rich people, and these expensive, okay, I need you to understand that these expensive objects were only available in sites like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. So these were like, so that means most of the, I can say, these items were used for administrative purposes. So there might be a king. For the king, we might use silver, gold, and stuff like that. So just like that, in those times, we might use it for, we might be using it for settlements that were like connected to Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which is like a very grand city, I can say, or site for the, I can say, rich people who worked in the administration, as well as, I guess, the king. I don't even know if there is a, we are not even clearly evident of the fact that there used to be a king existing in that era, especially during the Harappan civilization. Now the other part is also that it's very small topic, that is different dwellings. So these things also indicate, okay, these things also indicate about the social disparities or the differences that also can be found through the dwellings, as well as the way the people own things. So for example, social disparities can be found if we study about the different types of dwellings. Okay, so when we look at this various types of houses, okay, it also indicates about the social disparities. As I told you, some poor people would have houses that were one story, and if you compare it to the rich people, if they were having 2-story houses, and of course big houses were meant for the rich, and single that means like big houses, okay, big houses were used for the rich people. Big, small, just like we do right now, while a single roomed cottage was used for the poor people, poor or the common people, by the common people. That's it. So what I want you to understand is that we have learned about the different types of dwellings, and let's also move on to the other part. This is very important. Okay, that is when I was talking about dwellings, I forgot to mention about hordes. Okay, about hordes. Now these hordes were used to I can say we used to store jewelries and coins, something valuable. Okay, something valuable. So hordes were like some kind of, I can say, like these kinds of hordes in which there were some coins maybe, or jewelries, you know. These are known as like hordes indeed. But yeah, they were used to store rare objects, rare or expensive objects. That was that, or precious ones. Okay, or precious ones. For example, we might have something precious that might not be expensive but very precious for us. Maybe it might be a piece of paper, but it might have a very important knowledge or something, right? So information or something. So yeah, hordes were used as like a security, like, you know, our bank, like, you know, a box that had so many logs in it or something. But nowadays we have them. At those times we didn't have a proper log system for hordes or something. So hordes were like those piggy banks. Okay, piggy banks in which you would put jewelry, in which you would put coins, anything that was very important, precious. And yes, in case if you die, they will break it and put it in your burial pit. That's it. So that's it about the social differences that I was going to talk about today in this part of the short revision of the Harappan civilization. In the next class, we might be talking about the craft production, the exchange system we used to have, as well as about the trade centers we used to have and what were they called in the different languages. Most importantly, about the enigmatic script, as well as the seals, weights of the Harappan civilization. And yeah. And on the other part of the video, we might be talking about the end of the civilization and about the Cunningham's confusion, which is very important topic. And how did Cunningham like literally deny the existence of Harappa, and then we finally came to know about the existence of this civilization and stuff like that. So we might look forward into it at the last part of the video. So we have two more parts coming up. So get ready for that. I hope you had all enjoyed our class in this session right now. Hope you will all share this video so that it could help others to be more educated and to be more well defined and refined about this particular chapter's knowledge. And if you have any doubts, please write it down on the comments. If I did miss anything, do let me know about it. So hope you guys all enjoyed it. Let's grow.